In this video we're going to be looking over this Olympus Stylus 100 wide zoom 35mm point and shoot camera, and my goal in making this video is to demonstrate the condition of this exact camera, which is for sale. But secondarily, it's also just to demonstrate how this model camera works, and maybe some people that have one of these will find this useful. So let's get started, and I'm going to do all these things as if, so you can watch as if you had it in your own hands. I've got a type 123 battery and a scrap roll of film, and these are not included, of course, but we will start in by loading the battery. And we open the battery compartment over on this side just by pushing in on the bottom right here, and that starts that up. Then we can drop that battery in. We put the plus to the bottom, so like that. Snap this shut. You hear some things happening in there. Now let's open up the back of the camera so we can load the film. And there's a little latch right here, and we just lift up on that and the back pops open. Before we start with the film, let's just look in here. I see what looks like some real serious optics right here. That looks really nice. It looks clean, and it's a big piece of glass there, so that looks really nice. This camera doesn't require any foam light seals because there's some kind of well, it feels like a really good material, this rubber here that fits around here on the other door over here. And there's a little bit of foam around this window, and that feels just fine. There's no material transferred over here on these surfaces. This material feels like something that's going to be good for many decades. And the camera's decades old, but you should never have to replace light seals, I wouldn't think, on this camera. The camera has these contacts that read the ASA or ISO value off of your film canister if you have that type of film, so you don't have to manually set it. So we've got a scrap roll of film here, and we're just going to put this, we're going to first drop the cartridge in here on this side, and it needs to, there, okay. We pull this tail across, and we just get that past the spool a little bit. There's some red markings in here that show where you're supposed to let that tail go in, and so it's there. So now let's close up the camera, just snap it shut, and we hear some motors running and things happening. And so now to turn the camera on and to use it, we have to slide this cover over, okay. And this brings up the first thing that I want to point out is the flash opens up that much when you turn it on, and it's supposed to do more than that. And so what I found works just fine is to just flip it up a little bit like that, and there it is. And now that's the way it's supposed to look. There's just not quite enough springiness in there to pop it all the way up, and it needs a little help. But that was really the only thing that I discovered that wasn't quite right on this camera. Very minor little thing, but I wanted to point that out. So now back to demonstrating the camera. We see we're now set for picture number 1. Nothing is selected here for flash. I'm going to push this button here and make it so that it's a forced flash, so we know for sure it's going to flash. And so let's point this here off this way, and then we'll just watch the flash. And it went off. It was very bright, worked well. Now let's set this for the red eye reduction, and that's right there. So now we're going to get some flashing out of that flash. So let's watch what happens. There we see that. So that would supposedly make people's eyes look better. They won't be big and red, like big red pupils. And so now we know the flash works. I'm going to shut the flash off with this off here so that we don't unnecessarily waste the batteries. But let's test the self timer, and we're just going to push this button. There's a little timer shows up. So now we can just set this over here, point this at us. Oh, let's see. Okay, there is a little red indicating that the timer's been activated, and it'll start flashing, and eventually it will complete the cycle. There's flashing. Okay, cycle completed, and it worked. Okay, now we should check out the zoom, and here we've got here for wide and telephoto. So if we're going to go telephoto, this lens extends way out like that, and if you're going to go wide, and you can stop anywhere in between, wherever you want it, and take a picture. So the lens zoom all seems to work. I did verify that the little viewfinder focus for here, you can adjust this so that it matches your eye, or if you wear glasses and you want to take your glasses off when you take pictures, you can adjust this and get it pretty close to the way you want it, so that you can see the image clearly through that, and I verified that works. The other thing, that this one has this quartz date function, and there's a little tool on the end of the strap. Actually, it slides on the strap. It can be almost wherever you want, but it usually ends up at the end. And so here, we see all these dashes here. If I push this mode button here, it turns to the year 2002, January 1st. And we can change that to different modes there. Now it's 1102. And now if I wanted to set that, I would just push that right there until that 02 starts flashing. And then this button here is marked set. And then we can just start stepping that up. 03, 04, 05, 06, 07, 08, 09, 10. And let's just run this way up here and we'll see how far it goes. Well, we are currently in the year 2025 and it still works for that. Let's see how much farther it goes. 29, 30, that's good. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and back to 02. So the calendar in this camera will work out through the year 2035, which is still a ways out there, 10 years away. So that's good, that'll still be useful. There isn't a whole lot more that I want to demonstrate here. Maybe, I think I've got enough exposures left on this roll that maybe we'll try something here. Now, if I turn out these, well, first of all, I'm going to point this right up here at this light right here, and we've got that right there, and I'm going to watch that shutter. Oh, I couldn't see it. Okay, I can't really make this work because the camera needs to focus on something. How about if I point it up here like that? No, I thought I would be able to try and see if the amount of light going into the camera would change the way that the f-stop works, or the shutter speed, and it looks like I can't really demonstrate that because if I point it at there, it's too close for the camera to focus, and that just won't work. So maybe we won't try that, but it does seem like it's going to work. And now here we'll just shoot off the rest of these pictures. Okay, now it reached the end of the roll. So now here it pulled the flash down, and now the counter is counting back. And it'll go a little while. I heard it break free now from this take-up spool. So it runs it just a little while to make absolutely sure it's all the way into the cartridge. And now it is a flashing E, which means it's safe to open up the camera. And all of the film has now wound back into this cartridge. And if this were real roll film, we'd send this in for processing. So, all in all, a fairly nice example of this camera now, except you have to do that. Remember, you got to flip that up. But then when you close it, it closes right. So that's good. I'm going to take the battery out of this because that is not included in the sale here, so we'll get that out. But this camera is in reasonably good cosmetic condition, actually quite good. These were usually shoved into pockets, and so you'll see a lot of wear on features like this, and I don't see that on this one. Not much scuffing on the bottom, probably was never mounted on a tripod. Yeah, very little wear on this camera, really quite nice condition, and the reason for that might be that it came with this Olympus case, and it was probably kept in this case most of the time when it was carried around, and so that probably protected it. But we can bring that through. You can see it is an Olympus case, and it's about the right size to just fit that camera. It's got a little place you could string it on your belt if you wanted to take it that way. Or the strap can just come through this hole here. You can wear it around your neck or carry it in your hand. So, all in all, a fairly nice example of the Olympus Stylus 100 wide 35mm point and shoot film camera.